Hi, hey, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. You can also find a Instagram account and Facebook page for my small business. I run a little bricks and mortar yarn shop based in South Wales in the UK, just outside of Cardiff, and we are Yarn and Yarns, the same as the channel. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting away about my creative life. This week it is mostly knitting, although I do have a little bit of Dorset buttoning as well to share. But I also spin, crochet, so there's not been much crochet on the go recently, but I'm definitely planning on changing that. For the new year I'd like to try and have some set segments for the videos and include a regular crochet segment, but that's upcoming. We won't spend time on that now. I want to say a huge thank you to anyone who is coming back to watch again, and also a very big welcome if this is your first time here. I've had quite a few new subscribers over the last couple of months. I know some of you have come from Kim, who is Blue Cherub, and I also had a mention from Zoe, who is Pins and Needles, and Emma, who is Eldenwood Craft. So thank you all ladies for giving me a shout out. It's always nice to meet lovely new people, so if you are new, I'm always interested to find out where you have come from, i.e. how you found us. So yeah, please leave a comment below, because if anyone else has shouted me out or anything, I would like to obviously give them a big thank you. So for today I have I think I've got 4 finished objects for you and a couple of works in progress, and up until this morning I only had a couple of finished objects, but you might be able to tell from my crazy big face and tired eyes I've not really slept. Crazy. I've had about 3 hours sleep. You know how those nights go, but I made sure I was productive with my extra hours, and I managed to finish off 2 additional projects. So yeah, I might be in bed by 6 o'clock tonight, but my extra time this morning won't have been wasted. Anyway, on to my finished objects. My first finished object is a pair of mittens, and these have been a work in progress for many months. So it's really lovely to have them off the needles, and these are my Somerset versus Norway mitts. So I cast these on last December. If you have been following me for a while, you'll know that at the end of last year I set myself a little challenge and I cast on a project every day over the 12 days of Christmas. I had a week off work and lots of yarn sitting around at home and not the time to get it on the needles, so I decided during my week off that I would cast on a project every day, just work on that project for that day, and then put it away and get back to it as and when I was able to, and it was really fun, and I'm definitely planning on doing that again. But these mitts were one of those projects, but for one reason and another they just sat languishing, and I paid for that a little bit. If you follow me on Instagram you already know what is coming. So I knit this mitt when I first cast them on. Well, I didn't knit the whole mitt, I knit about half of it, and then earlier on this year I picked up and finished the top and the thumb for that mitt. And then I picked up the second knit just a week or 2 ago and started knitting on it. And I got to the top of the hares or the bunnies, and I noticed that my gauge had changed significantly. So this second mitt was turning out lots bigger than the first mitt. So, oh yeah. The perils of having languishing whips. I think for most things you can probably get away with it, but a pair of something, yeah. But I think I've relaxed a little bit more in my colour work. I've done a few more colour work projects, so yeah, my tension was just a lot looser. So what I decided to do was rip back down to the cuff. So I left the cuff in, so the cuff is still slightly bigger, probably can't tell too much. But I thought that was actually okay, because I wear my watch or my Fitbit on this wrist, so I thought the extra looseness in the cuff would be great to accommodate my watch sitting underneath that anyway. But I wanted to try and get the motif, so the hairs under the moon, to roughly the same gauge. So I went down a needle size, and that seemed to work out okay. There's still a little bit of difference, but I don't think when they're sort of on my hands and not being sort of shown next to each other, you're really going to see that. So yeah, I'm really excited to have those finished. They're lovely and warm. I used Quince and Company Owl Base, I think. I don't have the tags with me. I've left the bag downstairs. It's first time using Quince & Co. It was really lovely for colour work. My colour work in these could have been a bit neater, but I think probably after a couple of washes and blocks that will even out even more. I did briefly soak these, but I don't have any mitten blockers to really sort of stretch out the stitches. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about that. It was a really fun knit, and once I actually got going, they knit up really quite quickly, so there's no reason for them to have languished so long. But yes, lesson learnt. In the future, if I'm knitting a pair of anything, particularly a pair of colour work anything, try and get them done pretty soon after you've cast on. So yeah, I think you can probably tell the difference in the tension a bit more when I haven't got them on. This one's still slightly bigger than this one, but yeah, I'm happy, and it's nice to have one of those languishing whips off the needles. For anyone that's interested, that means I've actually only got 3 of my 12 cast-ons left on the needles from last year. I have got my amulet shawl, which I am beading, so that I think is going to be next on my hit list. I've got my Dern sweater, which is a 4-ply sweater. I've knit the back and the sleeves for that, so just the front to go. And then I also have my Derby cardigan, and I have not touched that since I cast it on. But it's a chunky weight cardigan, so when I do get the chance to get back to that, I'm fairly sure that that will knit up reasonably quickly. Okay, so my next 3 finished objects are all projects for other people, commission projects. So first off, I have knit up a pair of socks in the West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colourway for this year. This is the Fairy Lights. So if you are unaware, West Yorkshire Spinners bring out a Christmas colourway every year, or they have done for the past few years. It's kind of limited edition, they just bring it out for that year, and this year it's really fun. There's lots of beautiful colours, definitely reminiscent of Fairy Lights, its namesake. So there's some red, and obviously the green, the blue and the pink. So yeah, really fun sort of pair of striping socks. I have knit these for one of my customers who I knit a lot of socks for. So these are actually much bigger than I make for myself, hence they don't fit on the blockers properly. But I cast on 72 stitches on a 2.25mm needle for these socks. So I'm definitely going to knit a pair of these for myself, but I have got some yarn to also do some contrast heels, toes and cuffs for mine. So I'm going to put in some red, some green and some blue in my socks. So I should be able to get to those relatively quickly now that I have got these ones off of the needles. So they're all washed and blocked, and I just need to get them to my customer. I probably won't see her until next week now, so but it's nice to have those off the needles. My third finished object is a little baby cardigan. I have one of my regular customers who knits a lot for her great nephew and some of her other extended family, and often she does the knitting and I do the sewing up because she doesn't enjoy that part and she doesn't enjoy picking up the button bands and things like that. But she's a very good customer of mine, so I'm happy to do that for her. But every now and then she finds a pattern that she likes, but decides that it might be beyond her concentration capabilities. So she found a lovely little cardigan for a new baby girl who has just been born, and this is how the cardigan looks. So this is a pattern from the UK Hand Knitting Association. I'm not sure what the pattern number is or anything like that. I should have brought the pattern with me again. I do apologise. I blame my lack of sleep for bringing up only half of the stuff that I need. But yeah, in the original pattern it was knit in quite bright colourways. I think there was an orange, a purple and a green, but we decided to go for a bit more of a muted palette. I have made a couple of changes to the original pattern, so other than the colours. In the original pattern, this lacy motif goes all the way up the sleeve, but as we were doing the first size, I thought actually that would be a little bit too busy, so I put in one repeat of the lace pattern and just a row of garter to sort of reflect some of the garter ridges on the cardigan itself. And the other thing that I did, I'm calling it a modification, but it was actually a mistake, is this sleeve here, this dark purple sleeve, should have been on this side and the light purple sleeve should have been on this side. So obviously I've got quite a big block of that dark purple over here, but it was only after I had sewn it on and sewn up the side seams that I realised what I'd done, and there was no way I was unpicking that. The perils of trying to finish a project at 5 AM when you've only had 3 hours sleep. But honestly, I don't think, you know, it really makes a difference at all. I'm going to show you the back. So the back was actually done in colour blocks too. I haven't obviously washed, blocked or pressed this, so it is curling up a little bit, but I shall give it back to my customer. I think she's coming into the shop today and she can do that finishing pressing touches. And I finished it off just while I was setting up to record with some fun buttons. I haven't cut the backs of the thread off yet, so you might see those poking through, but I have got some smiley faces, so I put on 2 white and a purple, and as you can see the back of the cardigan was knit in the intarsia technique. So yeah, it was a really fun project. I often, when I get asked to do any baby stuff, it's like white cardies. So it was, although there is some white in that, it was actually nice to do a bit of colour and also some fun patterning as well. The yarn, I should mention before I completely stop talking about this one, the lilac and the purple were Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino, and the white is Ella Rae Baby Cash Merino, which are to all intents and purposes the same base for the fibre. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about that, other than it was a fun knit, and hopefully the recipient will enjoy it. I believe it's going all the way to Canada, so yeah, I hope they enjoy it in Canada when it arrives. My final finished object, well, I'm not really sure where to start on this one. This is probably something I will never ever have the need to knit again. I can't imagine anyone will actually ask me to do something like this again. I had a message via Facebook to our Yarn and Yarns page from a lovely lady who asked if I would be able to knit a jumper for her toy sheep. And she said she had a specific deadline, she wanted it ready by the 20-something of November. Would that be possible? She had the yarn and the pattern and she just needed someone to knit it up for her. So I said to her, yeah, bring it into the shop, I'll take a look, and if it's possible, depending on the complexity of the pattern, I'll obviously let you know if I won't be able to do it, but we can take a look and go from there. So she was meant to come last Friday and she didn't turn up at the shop, so I just assumed that she'd found someone else to do the project. But then she messaged me on Sunday to say that she'd been into the shop on Saturday and she had left the sheep, and could I let her know on Monday if I would be able to meet her deadline, etc, etc. Well, when I got to the shop on Monday, I couldn't really quite believe my eyes. So when she said she had a toy sheep, you know, I was thinking bear, you know, like a teddy bear, you know, what kind of size. That's just the head, people. So this is not really a cuddly toy. It is more like a small horse. The face though, I mean, it's really quite realistic, isn't it, that face? Look at it. Ooh. So I'm going to put it there just for a minute. I took stock and I thought, well, first of all, I thought, what's my life come to? But secondly, I thought, how could I turn down the opportunity to make such a crazy project? And not only was the size of the sheep crazy, the yarn that she left me with, it was a chunky yarn, so I thought, that's fine, it's going to knit up pretty quickly. And she left a pattern for what is essentially a dog coat. But the yarn is just really obnoxious, and it's probably going to clash completely with my wall. Did you see that? Oh, look how much that is blowing out. That is just crazy sauce, isn't it? Look at that really obnoxious pink. Gotta love it. So yeah, I'm just going to pop the camera on pause a second so I can dress my sheep. I've moved you back just a touch so I've got a little bit more room to manoeuvre. This project is not finished because I need to put some poppers just underneath this crazy onesie to finish this off. So yeah, I can't really show you this. Oh, here we go, look. So I need to put some poppers just under the front here and along the bottom just to pull that in so his belly doesn't get cold. But yeah, he's got these nice little coverages for his front legs and then some longer ones for his back legs, little gap for his wiggly tail. How on earth you would actually get, I can't believe how crazy this colour looks on my camera. How you would actually get a real life dog in this, I do not know, because you have to sort of, you have to like manoeuvre those legs out of the front. Can't see what I'm doing. And then these down the back. Oh gosh, can you imagine? Anyway, this crazy sheep, who I have affectionately christened Dolly, now has a gorgeous pink jumper. So I'm going to take that back to the shop today. So yeah, I'm going to have to carry that back to the shop. Not going to look crazy at all. No, no. Move you in a bit closer again. So if you happen to be in the local area and you get blinded by fluorescent pink blob walking down the street, that's me and my sheep. Right, moving swiftly on to works in progress. I have 4 to show you today, although one you'll only get a quick flash of. So actually I'll show you that one first. I have been busily knitting away on my test knit socks for Nessa, Nessa Townley, who is Kiltercraft, and this pattern I believe will be coming out shortly. And this is, I think it's going to be called Soul Attraction. That is at least the working title. And I have been busy knitting away on the second sock. I finished the first sock. The deadline was last Friday, but I'd already finished the first sock, so I was able to send her feedback for the pattern, so she's happy with that. And I just need to now knit away and finish the leg on this sock, and the pair will be done. So I also asked Nessa, so it's a lovely colourwork sock. I showed you a quick flash. Nessa's asked us not to show off the entire sock until the pattern is released, but you can hop on over to her Instagram. She is Kiltercraft on Instagram, for a few sneak peeks. So I'm trying not to show off any more than she has shown off on her feed. But it's a lovely colourwork design, meant for a gradient or sort of striping colours. You can sort of choose what you want to do, but I contacted Nessa after I finished my first sock, and I'd done sort of my gradient in a dark to light fashion, and I asked her if she would mind if I reversed the second sock. So for this one I'm going light to dark, so that's quite fun, and they're looking really lovely and they fit really nicely. I think the sock is something like 66 stitch cast on, and I did mine on 2.5, and that's given me a nice lot of stretch for colour work. I've struggled in the past to get a nice fit on colour work socks. That project is, there's not really much to say about that. I'm knitting those on Knit Pro carbon needles. I knit the colour work in double pointed needles, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I think it does help. Sometimes with Magic Loop, where I go from the front to the back needle, I get a really tight bit around the edge, and no matter what I try and do to loosen up those floats, it still pulls in. So I thought I'd give DPNs a go, and that seems to have worked out much better. I've got a lot more even sort of stretch on the leg of the sock. But I switched to Magic Loop once I got past the heel turn, because the toe is just, the foot, sorry, is just done in a plain colour. And my main colour, I am using this gorgeous red yarn from Stitch Pleased in the Blood of Thy Enemies colourway. And I've just paired that with a bunch of scraps and minis that I pulled from my stash. I don't even know what all of these colours are, so I won't go through those. And that project is living in my lovely red Cardinals bag, and this was some gorgeous fabric. This and the snowflakes were sent to me by my lovely friend Lisa, who is Use Your Yarn over on Instagram. And yeah, I'm hoping to finish that over the weekend. Second work in progress, I'll show you the one that you have already seen before, is the jumper that I'm making for James for hopefully his Christmas present. This is the Beagle pattern by Nora Gorn, and last time I showed you this I had just cast on the front, and I think I'd done a few inches. I was sort of down here. I took this with me as train knitting for my trip to London to Yarnporium a couple of weeks ago. I got a little bit done on the day, but after that I worked for a couple of evenings, and I have managed to put a great dent in the front of this project. I'm at the point, so I'll show you the back in case you have not been before, and this might be the first time you're seeing this project. I finished the back a little while ago, and it goes from this sort of textured panel with the sort of ribbing to a double moss stitch at the top. So I have reached the point where I now need to switch to the double moss stitch. And because this is the front, I will also be doing a little bit of shaping as I get further up that double moss or double C stitch section. It's a round neck, so there's not huge amounts of shaping, but yeah, I'm hoping, my original aim was to get this finished by the end of November, but we're halfway through November and I haven't touched this for about a week, so we shall see. We'll see. I've still got a few commissions that I need to get through. I told myself I wasn't going to take on much commission work, and then a few little projects have come my way, but all those little projects obviously add up into reasonable chunks of time. Yeah, I'd like to get those commission projects finished so that hopefully by December I'll have a nice free month relaxing in the run up to Christmas time. Okay, my next work in progress, I started last weekend and I put quite a big dent in it, but I might be ripping it back. So I am knitting the Darumi sweater, which is a sweater from Pom Pom Quarterly magazine. Again, I've left the book downstairs, I do apologise. It's from the spring issue, I think, and it's a cover star, so if you've seen that magazine, then you'll know what I'm talking about. It's got a pink yoke, and then it's sort of like a brownish biscuity sort of colour for the body. I actually knit a swatch for this before I cast on, just to test out my tension, and at the recommended needle size, I was a little bit off for tension stitch wise. So I swatched with a smaller needle as well, just to check out my fabrics and stuff. But in the end, I was happy with kind of both sort of fabrics that I got, so I went with the larger needle size. I have finished the yoke basically on this sweater, and I've got to the point where I split and separated for the sleeves. I tried this on and it fits really quite nicely. There's actually a fair amount of positive ease, but my quandary on this, and again you will have seen this if you follow me on Instagram, is I'm not happy really with how the increases look in that light blue yarn. I think they are really quite obvious, and I'm not sure this, I'm using for the two blues, it's West Yorkshire Spinners Wensleydale Gems, and the grey brown yarn is just a natural yarn that I picked up when I went to Wonderwall this year, which is a yarn festival that happens here in Wales, and I got it from a company called what are they called, Wooltops UK. It was just on their stand, unlabelled, 100% wool as far as I can remember, and I got a really good deal. I think I got like 6 100-ish gram skeins for less than £15, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm really loving how that's working up. But the Wensleydale Gems is on the lighter side for a DK, and with the larger needle size, I'm not sure if that's kind of having a factor on how visible these increases are. When you look at the pictures in the pattern page, you can see slightly where the increases are, but not to the extent that you can see here on mine. I put a post up on Instagram asking for suggestions. My first thought was to go down a needle size, because as I say, I've got a reasonable amount of room in that top section. And actually I'm just going to take my cardigan off that I was wearing. I'm just going to pop it on so you can see. So yeah, there's plenty of space up there. So I think if I go down a needle size and then maybe increase up to a needle size for the colour work and the bottom, I've got plenty of room there. So I think I wouldn't have an issue doing that. But I also had, this is a folded neck, so it looks a bit odd at the moment, but basically you fold that over and stitch it down. But I had a few suggestions on Instagram as to what I could do. One lovely person suggested trying out a couple of different increase methods. This was the make one left, I think the pattern called for, which is what I did throughout. And it wasn't as visible while I was doing it. I have blocked this out because I wanted to try it on just to make sure, and my plan was always to get to the point where I'm splitting for the sleeves and try it on for fit. But also it's quite bunched up on the needles. You knit for the most part on, like, I think you start on a 60cm and then go to an 80cm cord when the stitches call for that. So it's a little bit bunched up on the needles. So that was a factor, and also, as I say, after washing and blocking, it sort of stretched out a little bit. So yeah, I've had suggestions to try other types of increases, and I think I will do that. But Zoe, who I've mentioned already, who is Pins and Needles, also suggested that I do a little increase swatch. So I think before I actually rip all this out, I will do that, because if in the process of swatching and going down a needle size and changing the type of increase, if it doesn't actually improve the look of this, then there's no point ripping back, and I might as well just carry on. It's not the end of the world. I just don't think it looks very neat and tidy, which I think will bother me slightly. Especially, I'm going to take this back off again, hang on. Comparison, I mean, the fabric for this gorgeous sort of natural yarn is just really lovely, and I think it just looks a little bit scruffy in comparison to that, and I think, you know, once I get the rest of the body, it will notice even more. That is also on my list for the weekend. When I say weekend, I've only got Sunday off, so I don't know when I'm going to actually manage to do all these things, but we'll see. Yeah, hopefully I can figure out a way to make that look neat and tidy. It's a bit of a bind if I do need to rip it back. I basically spent the whole of last weekend knitting this, but it was also really a joy to knit. I'm pretty confident that I could get back to this point without too much trouble. And then after that, basically, I mean, that is the colour work done, this bit here. So it's then becomes really great TV knitting, stocking stitch in the round. So yeah, a bit more playing to do on that, but I really like the colour combination, and the fit seems to be quite nice so far. I think once I get back to this stage again, I will start working on one of the sleeves just to make sure that that fits okay. There seems to be quite a lot of room in that sleeve gap, so yeah, I think I will probably tackle that next. But really excited about that sweater, and I was actually spurred on to cast it on. I don't know if you guys follow Louise Tilbrook Designs over on Instagram. She designs lots of lovely patterns, and she has been hosting a bit of a virtual knit along, encouraging people to use wool yarns in November. So yeah, I kind of cast that on as a spur of the moment thing in response to that. So it's kind of a nice unexpected cast on, and I've been really enjoying it. It's been on my to-do list for a while, but yeah, it just gave me the impetus, and it's nice to be using some yarn from my Wonderwool stash as well. Right, on to my last work in progress, and I am doing a bit of Dorset buttonry. I don't know if I've just made that word up. I probably have. If you watch my Yarnporium vlog, words today, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to survive the day functioning on so little sleep. So I do apologise if this is your first episode. I'm not going to say I'm usually polished, because I'm not, but my language skills are usually a little bit better than this. marginally. I won't I won't big myself up too much. If you've watched my other videos, you know what I'm like. Anyway, back to Dorset buttons. When I went to Yarnporium, I picked up a lovely little kit from TJ Frog to make this Dorset button brooch, and I started it last night. I have got a lot going on at work at the moment, a few big decisions to be made, and I wasn't really in the mood for knitting. I just finished up this crazy sheep jumper, and I didn't really want to knit on anything else, but obviously I can't just sit there and do not a lot. So I decided to start on the Dorset button kit. So this is where I've got to so far. It's a bit awkward because I've got this bit of thread hanging out of the front, but this is lovely design with some beads. So I have wrapped the ring, and there are some technical terms for these things. The lovely lady whose name escapes me, Tanya, from TJ Frog, was recently on an episode of Fruity Knitting. So if you'd like to know more about Dorset buttons, then hop on over to the Fruity Knitting YouTube channel and take a look at that. But yes, what I have done, this is when you cover the outer ring, that is called casting. And then I did some slicking, and basically I don't know if you'll be able to see, but you sort of, once you've done your casting, you end up with a bit of a ridge because you are doing buttonhole stitch. Is that what it's called? Blanket stitch, like to cover this, so you end up with a bit of a ridge. So you then do something called slicking, which is basically moving that ridge to the middle. You just twist your fibres round, then you create your spokes and you start creating the rest of your design. So I've not got too far left to go to finish that. It's a nice big ring, and this is lovely hand-dyed yarn. The yarn in this kit is from the Hand Spinner Having Fun, hand-dyed merino and nylon yarn. So yeah, I've just got to do my central design now, which will create this fun pattern, and you sort of move the beads around so that they're a bit interspersed in amongst the spokes of your and the wraps of your yarn. So yeah, I'm hopeful that that will be finished. I'm not sure if I will have the capacity to concentrate on that this evening. I think there'll probably be an early night in my future. But we'll see. I'm sure it will get done before I record the next episode, so hopefully that will be a finished object next time. Right, I'm going to finish up here. There may or may not be a little bit of a shop news section coming up. I do have some new books that have come into stock. The new Pom Pom issue has arrived. That officially goes on sale tomorrow, which is the 17th. If you're watching this at some point in the future, I may not even get this uploaded until after that date. I've also got the other Pom Pom publication, which is the Knits About Winter, I think it's called, the Emily Foden book. I've got the 40th anniversary collection from Rowan has arrived in stock, and I've been restocked with my lovely hand-dyed yarns by Miranda May. So I may do a quick little snippet from the shop showing you those things. I've also got some new colourways in from Opal Yarns, but it just depends on how much time I have today to get that recorded, and it'll be quite nice to get a video up because it's been a couple of weeks since my Yarnporium vlog. So if I don't get time to record anything, then I'm going to just quickly record a goodbye segment now. So that's everything from me for this week. I will say goodbye to you all for now. Thank you so very much for joining me. I really do appreciate you taking some time out of your day to listen to my ramblings, especially today when I haven't been particularly coherent. I do hope that whatever you are up to, you are able to do some of the things that you enjoy. And until next time, great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.